Welcome back to Season 6 of the Group Practice Accelerator podcast, brought to you by Polaris Healthcare Partners, where we leverage decades of healthcare and business experience to drive growth in successful group practices just like yours. If you're a healthcare entrepreneur and you're interested in building, scaling, or exiting your group practice, you've found not only the industry's leading resource for business education, but a team of trusted advisors dedicated to helping you achieve and exceed your goals. In short, the team at Polaris creates clarity, confidence, and results. I'm your host, Jamie Falash, and the Group Practice Accelerator podcast is on the air. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me again this week. I want to kick off today's episode by talking about where a chunk of your budget is going, or at least it needs to be, and with good reason. And that's marketing. Marketing isn't just a nice to have for dental and healthcare practices. It's really a core part of staying viable, growing, and serving patients effectively. Even though care quality is really paramount, patients still have to find you, trust you, and choose you, whether your business has been around for years or whether your plan involves acquisition or de novo addition. So we've got to consider marketing at all turns. And that's where marketing becomes really essential. We know that word of mouth can be really powerful, but we can't rely on that for our entire patient population. We need to attract new patients, treat them like they are our only patient, and build trust before those referrals can start rolling in. You know, it's a crowded market out there with providers on every corner, and we have to position ourselves in a way that really establishes our brand within the community, and that gives us the transparency and the data to rest easy knowing that the work we're doing is actually working, or whether we need to come at that patient acquisition angle a little bit different. And there's a way to do this without breaking the bank. And since you already know we're here to provide best-in-class resources to help you grow your group practice, I have invited a friend of Polaris to the show today who lives and breathes healthcare practice marketing, and that's Travis Marshall, president of Mod Marketing. Travis, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Marketing is a pretty broad topic to cover, but you and I have had some discussions leading up to this podcast, and I really think that what you have to say will impact practices because, like I mentioned in my intro, some still see this as it's kind of a nice thing to have, but all of our referrals come from word of mouth. We know that doesn't work.
Right.
So why don't we start with, I'll let you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about Mod Marketing, and then I have a bunch of questions for you.
Awesome. Thanks again for having me. I'm Travis Marshall. I'm the president of Mod Marketing. We are a full service performance-based advertising agency, and we work with clients as much as they need in the smallest capacity or full service outsourced marketing department. And we're here to just help out folks and help them get a little bit more out of their marketing.
All right. And tell me, how did you end up doing what you do?
So I started at the newspaper at the Durham Herald-Sun in North Carolina, and I would run newspaper ads and have some success with it. You know, I honestly didn't believe in the newspaper all that much, but I got some results. And then when I started getting some results, I had an opportunity and met somebody in the agency space. And at an agency, you can do all forms of advertising. So I thought to myself, like, hey, if I can get the newspaper to work, like this should be a breeze. But it definitely takes some honing in for sure.
It does. And, print marketing is sort of a beast of its own. And I have that in my background as well. In fact, after clinical, it was one of the first positions I held. I worked for Bill Newman when he was with another company prior to Group Dentistry Now. We had a couple of print publications, and one of the owners used to say, and this has always kind of stuck with me, that, digital marketing is great, but there is always still a place for print. A doctor might read an article and they're going to set that magazine on their desk and refer back to it and pick it up multiple times to look at the content, where sometimes with digital, we might scroll past. So there's a place for both.
Definitely.
So if I'm a doctor, I've got a couple of locations, I'm not doing any marketing. Let's just say, I've sort of grown organically over time, and maybe I'm adding a third or a fifth location, and I really don't have a good marketing plan in place. Where do I start with so many options available? What do you find works?
That's a great question. And so the first thing I would do is to just really get an idea on what you have going on currently, right? So I talk to a lot of doctors, a lot of business owners, and you'd be surprised, you need to know how much website traffic you're getting. You need to know where the traffic's coming from. You need to know what keywords your website is currently ranking for. You may be doing something that's, you may be ranking for something that you don't even want to rank for, right? Or determine, what you're not ranking for. So you just need to know a lay of the land and then start to evaluate, what's working with what you're currently doing and then, fill in the gaps.
Yeah, just like anything else that we do with, operations, clinical, you've got to lay out a plan first. And there's something else I saw on your website that I want to ask you about, but I'm making myself save it for later because it involves a whole cascade of things. So
Yes.
I'm gonna hold on that.
Okay, we'll hold on. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of people selling this stuff,
Oh,
and they
yes.
come and they say, try this, try that. But you need to understand where you currently sit right now,
Exactly. And that's why
and then make a plan. Okay,
sure. And I'm glad that you're here because you have a process for this. So I'm not going to jump
definitely.
ahead. How can I determine where I'm actually getting patients rather than just, I got a click here, I got an impression there. We see a lot of impressions or a lot of likes on social media. How do I know where my patients are really coming from?
The best thing that I've seen is, there's definitely tracking out there, but there's also phone call tracking and phone call recording that can give you attribution, which is just simply where is my conversion? Where is this lead coming from? And then with AI out there now, it can monitor these phone calls and it can, trigger keywords like new patient, new to the area, new services. So if you develop a way to identify what's the attribution of these leads, and then you can really lay it on top of, okay, well, this is my book of new patients for the month. Here's my list from the marketing company of all the leads and recorded phone calls they got. It's just a matter of matching up, the people that we touched and provided to you guys, and then saying what actually turned into a patient.
Yeah, it's since you mentioned it, I'll ask you now, what about AI? What about Chat GPT? Are you finding that a lot of people are trying to use sources like that for their marketing, and how is that working?
Yeah, it's definitely a hot buzzword right now. It's shaking up things. I will say it's still very early adopter, right, as far as the vast scope of everybody using the internet. But essentially AI is just looking at other listings and just serving it at the top and or in Chat GPT. So as long as you're really targeted in location-based searches, we're finding a lot of AI placements and Chat GPT placements. So yes, it's definitely relevant. It's starting to bring in some eyeballs to sites and like getting some leads here and there. But I'd say, we're still less than 5% of overall traffic coming from these search engines like that.
Yeah, I think that's good. The human needs to still be involved. And as most people know, these AI sources like ChatGPT and others are really glorified search engines. And I say that knowing that it can be very useful. It can
Right.
also be overused where we don't really want to use it. So it can certainly help lay things out, but we don't want to rely on AI to manage this aspect of your business. It really has to be thoughtful and data-based, right?
Definitely, definitely.
So, all of this, we're looking to increase the value of our business by doing the right kind of marketing, getting the right patients in, making sure that, we're outpacing attrition. What should, if I'm thinking of the money that I spend on marketing, which is critical, what should
Mhm.
my budget be,
That's a great question.
like percentage
So,
wise?
yes, that's a great question. A lot of people don't know this, and it depends on how aggressive you want to be. But on the, less aggressive side, you should be spending around 3% of your revenue on advertising. And then on the high end, you're looking at around 8%. So in a perfect world, if you're spending between 3 and 8% and your marketing company is showing you growth, right? I haven't met a doctor that wouldn't spend more money to get more patients. Like that's
Sure.
just how it goes. So we like to work within that budget and then track and provide customer lists that we're getting them and things like that. And then that's how we can grow in a smart and effective way,
Yeah,
is
and you've got to
working
really
within that.
sure. And you have to allocate that money. You need a steady pipeline. Like I said in the intro, not just word of mouth. Word of mouth is great. We all like to get a referral friends, family, neighbors that we trust, but you still have to market. If I'm looking at who I'm attracting, like how do I know if I have the right patients, high value procedures, long-term patients, so we can talk about retention separately instead of just filling the schedule on a like one-time hit kind of thing.
That's a great question because this has been coming up a lot. Our clients are looking for higher value procedures, all on four, all on X, crowns, things like that.
Yeah.
And the way to go about that is to just spend your ad dollars as efficiently as you can on those kinds of terms, right? You need
Mhm.
to make sure that your website ranks organically for those terms. If you're doing paid search, right, like maybe you cut back the terms of general dentistry and allocate it only on crowns and all on X. There's also other more robust ad platforms out there where you can set up a workflow of follow up through text and email and send clients brochures and just follow them in the funnel. There's a lot of tools out there where you can really, really hone in and only spend those funds on those kinds of services you're looking for.
Yeah, because we really do want to hone in on exactly what we need for our business. And maybe you can touch on patient retention and lifetime value. You started to mention that in your response there because that's critical. We really want to keep these patients in-house so they're not hopping around. How do we do that? Like what do you find works there?
Making sure you're staying in contact with your current patients, right? Or you're able to send e-blasts, newsletters, refer a friend program. Those are ways that you can nurture your patients. I've been working with dentists for a while. I've heard anywhere from a lifetime value of a patient being $5,000, $15,000, right? So
Exactly.
if we're getting patients and we can continue that trend, then that's your ROI conversation right there, right? Like if we can determine what our average value of the patient is, apply that to the monthly new patients we're getting, you can run the numbers and run the math in a way to actually plan out like, hey, I want 10 new patients a month, right? Well, if you're doing that based on what we're currently converting at, you need to spend this, right? Or we need to be in these areas. And then you just watch it because Jamie, this stuff could fall apart real quick. I
Oh
mean, if
yeah.
somebody's answering the phone wrong or, not answering the phone or the phone tree message is too long and people are tired of sitting on there and listening to it, I mean, you'll just waste money. So it definitely takes a village.
Yeah, it does. And actually, you beat me to the punch on my next question was kind of how do we use all this data to increase the value of the business? I'm sure there's more to say there.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really just high touch communication with the team, the doctors that we're working with, or that your marketing company is working with, and then it's about being as efficient as you can, and not to get into it too fast, but our fundamentals. That's kind of our flagship. That's
That's
how
my
we
next
operate.
question anyway. Just go with
So
it.
so so we have our fundamentals, and
Yeah,
to take it back a little bit, when I told you I started at the newspaper company, I thought to myself, well, now that I can do all of it, this should be a breeze.
yeah.
But it is not the case, right? It's a completely different story when you are held accountable for the entire spend. So really, I say this all the time, there's no silver bullet to this. And anybody who tells you there's a silver bullet, you need to run because they're going to take your money and they're going to go to the Bahamas and then they'll just go find somebody else to give. What really works is being as efficient as you can. So we have our fundamentals. The first thing that's the most important is your website, right? What
Yes.
does your website convert at, right? Do you convert at 2%? Do we convert at 3%? Industry standards 2%. First thing we do before we come in is say, hey, can we add a chat tool here? Can we add, this new patient special here just so we can increase the amount of action you're currently getting. Right? So it's about you don't want to send ad dollars to a website that's not converting at least 2.5, 2 to 3%, right? So that's where we come in. We can come in and really evaluate, okay, what are we doing, right? What can we fix? Let's add some more things to it. Let's get it converting higher. Then we can start talking about doing some of the other ad dollars, right? So things like reputations, number two, right? You can have the best ad campaign in the world, but if you have a terrible reputation on Google, you're never going to get
Oh,
patients, right? We were just talking about friends and family. Google reviews are pretty much like friends and family reviews, right? So that's something that we definitely recommend folks lean into. You got
yes.
search engine optimization, right? That's does your website even show up for the keywords? Like, do you want all on X? And do you even rank for all on X? Those are things that, you can get really sideways if you're spending all this money on an all on X campaign, but you don't even foundationally rank for that, right? So,
And we are all, let's just admit it, we're all lazy when it comes to a Google search. We look page one. Who goes beyond page one?
absolutely. We do a good job of making sure that we're setting you up for the best potential chance to get that conversion, right? To get that lead submission because it is a numbers game. If we can increase the conversion rate by 3% or 2%, then I'm saying, okay, well, let's get more eyeballs on your site, which is going to get you more opportunities. And if you guys are doing what you need to do, it will be more patients, right?
Yes,
So
agreed.
it's not rocket science, but you just gotta make sure you're stepping back and actively making changes and responding to the data.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not using it, what's the point?
Right, right.
Right. And I'll interject here because I know there's more to these fundamentals that I want to keep going through. But what I wanted to ask you about what I saw on your website is this is a process. Like you do this in order and for a good reason because you
Definitely.
know what works, right?
Definitely. This is our process, and we tell people our narrative never changes, and this happens so many times before where, something's not working, right? We're not getting as many patients as we normally have. Well, then let's back up. What's going wrong with these fundamentals, right? Do we have a chat that's not working on the website, or did somebody who's supposed to be receiving the lead forms, did that fall off,
Ah,
right? Or do we have a bad reputation, or hey, we're not ranking for these keywords that we're trying to make our primary focus. So I'm rambling a little bit because it is a lot. Like
that's
it's a ton of
okay.
stuff because there's so many different things to choose from that our system gives a good blueprint on how to make a little bit of sense out of the chaos.
Well, and that's just it. You said it, it's a blueprint. And
Mhm.
you've been doing this for 25 plus years. I recall from a previous conversation that we had. So you do know what works and you have the data to back it up. And I'll ask you a little bit about dashboard and data later, but let's stick to the fundamentals for now. What about social media content in advertising?
Definitely need to be using that. It's best if somebody's there at the store, at the practice, that posting things. A good mix of fun, promotional, community based. And the funny thing is that when I first started doing this around 2010 or whatnot, we would tell people not to do Facebook because it was so bad, right? But like
Yeah.
now, it like people, we call it the broadcast, it's the digital broadcast TV because literally everybody has it and they're checking it like 15, 20 times a day.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how you're going to create your brand. You never know who's out there sharing and liking and following. So it's important because you can reach a lot of eyeballs and you can do a lot more on social media than you can with getting on broadcast TV and spending $10,000 a month for
Oh, yeah.
10 spots. I mean, you can reach a lot more folks with social.
Well, and not to introduce ageism here, but some of us old dogs had to be taught new tricks and use social media, where younger people today, it's second nature. They're good at it. So if
Definitely.
you have somebody in your practice that has a good reputation themselves, start there, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, because that can
Definitely.
help.
And of
But they're
course,
really good with
we
the
can.
content.
Yeah, of course, we can help with those things. We've got graphics and everything, and we'd like to be an extension of your team, right? So we're here to support in any way, whether it's to post it all organically or to help guide it.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to mention. You did say that you can help with the content creation too, which some people just don't have the time or will or energy, or maybe there's not someone in the practice that's kind of their little niche. So I think I
That's
like
right.
that you manage that too. In looking back at your list of these fundamentals, third-party listing partners, tell me about that.
So third party listing providers, that's a great question. Essentially, what we want to make sure there is that, you may need some third party leads here and there, but for the most part, you should be driving all the traffic to your website to get your leads because I've been in a lot of CRMs and those leads that come off of your website just close at a significantly higher rate.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's money better spent in that aspect.
Well, and in my understanding, it's lead lists that you get. And these are not people that have raised their hand to be contacted by you. So that can get you in some other hot water if you're reaching out to people that
Yeah,
have.
you want to be careful.
Yeah, yeah, there's some laws around that. So what about database marketing?
Database marketing is it's that's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with nurturing your customer base and your patient base. You just want to make sure that you're touching them because it is a lot easier and cheaper to send a database e-blast than it is to do something else, right? So if you're a dentist you do a lot of general dentistry and you're looking to get more into the cosmetics, this would be a more affordable way for you to kind of get your name out there and do that than starting a brand new campaign.
Yeah, use the people that are already in your practice to, to grow that aspect of the business. That makes perfect sense. Okay, search engine marketing.
Yeah, search engine marketing, that's the big one. And look, a lot of agencies start with this, right? This is
Yeah,
where the ad dollars are. We like to point out that we are trying to make things as good as they can before we start sending traffic.
sure.
And then when we're doing like when we actually start running ad campaigns, again, we're, recording the phone calls. We are giving you the data on this is who we found, this is what they've searched for. And then it's not rocket scientists. It's just look at the word, look at the campaigns, take out the words that aren't getting you conversions and spend more on the words that are getting you conversions. So
Yeah, I like what you said about not just, running into that. Like you've got to set up website, reputation management, and keep all of these things in order because all the SEO in the world isn't going to do you any good if you're not set up properly. Got to have a good
correct.
foundation first. So that kind of leads me to retargeting and remarketing.
Yeah, so this one, this was a little bit different too because we can't retarget people on dental websites, unfortunately, per Google. But what we can do is definitely target folks that are searching in the area for dental services, even if they haven't been to your website. There's ways that you can have coverage and show your brand in front of folks that are searching for the services that you provide.
Oh, yeah. We've all been thinking something or said one word, and suddenly it's all over your feed, whether
Yeah,
that's social media or you're on a website and you see a banner. There are definitely ways to do this, and I'm glad that you take care of that for clients. It's time consuming. And really, what we want people to focus on in the practice is treating patients. Okay, last one in this list of 9 processes that you have, traditional media.
yes, and we touched on this earlier. So there is still a space for traditional media. You don't want to survive on people only searching for a service that you have and then showing up. You want people starting with you, right? We don't want dentists near me. We want your practice.
Yeah.
Like go straight there, right? So that's what this does. I like to put in this bucket to OTT or connected TV over the top is trending. It's just streaming, right? Like Hulu, YouTube TV, things like that. And that's growing really, really fast. So what's we've seen it to be a really big benefit is that one single point practice, maybe 1 to 3 locations. Maybe you don't have the budget to get on TV and really brand yourself, or maybe you're in a market where it's just expensive. You can spend a fraction of the dollars and get on like connected TV and have a real tier 1 look and feel, right?
Tell
You're
me
in
what that means. Explain that to our audience, OTT.
So it's over the top or connected TV, and it's essentially means that people watching TV streaming. So they don't have cable or broadcast TV. They are streaming through Hulu or YouTube TV or a Roku or something like that.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
Because everybody has like 5 to 10 different
Of
subscriptions
course.
that they're streaming now. So it's getting fragmented, but that's why, you can really get a tier 1 look and feel and hit people watching TV, watching Fox News, CNN, HGTV, and it's a fraction of the price. So it's been really effective for our clients.
Yeah, a great opportunity. Okay, so now let's say I'm one of your clients. I've got 5 locations. How do I see all this data? Do you have a dashboard for that? I know.
Yes, great
Yeah.
question. We've got a dashboard. It's real time,
Yeah.
right? So up to the day before. So all of our clients have access to that because look, everything doesn't work. Some campaigns are good, some campaigns are bad, and we are monitoring the data and we're doing more of the stuff that works and doing less of the stuff that that doesn't work. And it's really cool because you can have really good collaborative meetings where, there's things that the doctors have on their end or the staff internally that let's get so and so answering the phones. They're available now. Or, hey, it's the end of the year. Let's push for benefits that are going to be expiring. It's good to brainstorm and come up with like tangible changes, not just here's my bill, pay me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. Well, and what I really liked, I would encourage our listeners to reach out to Travis and get a look at this because what I really liked is that you can see month over month, year over year, what's working. You can see what's not working, and you can segment it out in all of those fundamentals that we talked about. There's a little tab for each of those. So you can see how every little piece is working. So I really like that because people like to have their hands on something that shows them what their money's doing for them,
That
how it's impacting the value of your business, right? At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Well, Travis, thank you so much. This has been really informative. I really think that we have a lot of people out there that try to do marketing on their own, and sometimes that is okay. But I really feel like if you work with somebody professional like you, that it can make such a big impact on your business. And it isn't just a nice to have, it is a necessity if you want your business to grow. It just is.
absolutely. Well said. I couldn't have said it better myself, Jay.
All right, so how do people get in touch with you? Where do we find you?
You can go to our website, modmarketing.com, fill out a form, or you can call 919-200-8178.
All
Call or
right.
text.
Okay, I will put that in the show notes so people can find you easily and get in touch. So thanks for being with us today. And to our audience, we love the questions that you all send us. So keep them coming and we'll keep delivering the content that you ask for. As always, if you want to learn about any of our Polaris expert advisory services or gain resources, or maybe there's a topic that we haven't covered that you'd like to hear about, you can send us an email to info@polarishealthcarepartners.com, and be sure to visit our website at polarishealthcarepartners.com, where you're going to find weekly articles to grow and support your healthcare business, along with access to all podcast episodes, events, and a whole lot more. Thanks so much for being a loyal listener and subscriber. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a colleague and be sure to leave us a rating on any of your favorite podcast platforms. We'll see you on the next episode of the Group Practice Accelerator podcast.